Welcome to the Pet Biz Podcast. Join us as we showcase and spotlight the remarkable achievements of our featured dog training business today. So leash up your curiosity and tune in so we can see if they are a good fit to help you with your dog training needs. And today we have Jayson Fogle joining us from Focus Dog Training. So we're going to dive into a little bit here so we can learn more about Focus Dog Training and how it can help, you with your pet. So Jayson, welcome. And if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to specialize in dog training.
Well, like a lot of the dog trainers out there in the world today, I got started because I adopted a dog from a rescue, and lo and behold, it had issues. And I worked with a trainer here locally in Madison, and then decided after a little while, he liked what I did. I've worked with dogs in the past, so I came on board with them, worked for them for a couple of years, and then I wanted to do things differently. I wanted to offer more services and better customer service. So I decided to go off on my own, and 9 years later, we're here today.
Fantastic. And I love the name Focus Dog Training. It speaks to me so well because it says what most of us want in our dog. We want our dog to listen. We want our dog to pay attention, which is focus. How did you land on that name?
Everything that I wanted to do when we were finding a name, I wanted it to be about attention. Not only attention from the dog to the handler, the owner, whatever it might be, but also focused on the family that we're working with. That's the most important to me. I want every single one of my clients to think they're the only client I have because I want to give them that service. So when we finally found Focused, and lo and behold, the website was open and I could get it immediately, we landed on it and we went with it.
Fantastic. I love that. It's such a perfect name. And I love that you really speak to me with my family, with my dog, so that I can appreciate all that extra customer service and, personalization that you would offer not just to my dog, but to my entire family, which could be very different from another family. Maybe they have multiple dogs, maybe they have multiple kids, or it's just a single person. But I love that you adjust and personalize to each.
Yeah, we have to. And that's one of the biggest things for us is the unparalleled customer service that we provide. I don't care where I'm at in the world. As long as I have a Wi-Fi signal, I will respond to any of my clients. So I will respond on vacation, on holidays, anything that I'm doing. It might take me a couple extra minutes, but I want them to know that I am there to help support them and keep moving them forward.
And that kind of leads me to my next question, which I think you may have already answered, but what do you believe is the most important quality or skill for a successful dog trainer to possess?
Well, that's just it. Education is going to be paramount, whether that's classroom, whether that's being mentored, whether it's getting your hands on as many dogs as you can to actually understand dog behavior, and ultimately figuring out, listening to your clients and figuring out what they want from their dog and from the training program that they're choosing. But the biggest focus always has to be on the owner. The owner is the one. Unfortunately, I'm in this boat. I was for years. The owner is the one creating most of the issues. So we have to re-educate them. Well, customer service lands hard on that one because if I can't change who's on the end of the leash, the dog will only go so far. So we really strive on teaching our clients what and why they're doing, and then what repercussions or benefits their dogs have from what they're currently doing. Once we get to that point, we just tweak small little things to make the dogs better and better. That, to me, the customer service portion and education are what lead dog trainers to be successful or non-successful.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about your business, like where you're located, what areas you service.
I am in Madison, Wisconsin. I service the Dane County, majority of the county anyway. But I will say this. I have clients in Arizona. I have clients in Key West. I have clients in California. I currently have 2 clients in Japan. They happen to be local here at the time that we were training. And then Two of them actually they're in the military. So they got their orders to go over to Japan, and they are currently over there. So same rules apply. If they have a question, if they have an issue, if they have anything going on, all they have to do is reach out. We'll figure out the time difference. We can Zoom call. We can do whatever we need to. But my goal is to help them continue with their dog to have the best quality of life for both of them.
Amazing, amazing. I bet you get some middle of the night text messages then if you've got clients in Arizona and clients in Japan. That is amazing. It really shows that you care. I think that's everything I'm hearing so much, is that you're like part of their family, and that you care so much about them and their success. And it sounds like, too, dog training just isn't just a quick fix. This is almost like a lifetime support. It sounds like you're giving them.
I give every one of my clients lifetime support. They all have my cell phone. They can, through the app, they can message me at any point in time. I usually tell people, hey, if I go to bed, my phone's on the charger, I leave it there, I'm off for the night, and then I will respond first thing in the morning. So that way, again, we can keep you moving forward. The biggest thing is I treat all my clients like family. I want to be their friend. And the reason being is I'm in their life. And the goal is going to be I'm not in their life for a week or 2 weeks or even, a month if we're doing in-home lessons. I'm there to help them move forward, and I'm there if they need me. I want them to feel like that so that way they can reach out with any questions and never feel like, oh, I'm not going to bother him today. No, please do. That's what I'm here for, and that's why my business has thrived the way it has, and that's why I keep getting the referrals that I do. I have a dog currently with me, a 5-month-old puppy that is from 2 hours up north. I've trained both of his cousins' dogs. One lives in Chicago, one lives in Nashville. And ultimately, the Nashville one drove 9 hours up to drop the dog off, drove 9 hours a couple weeks later to do that. We just did a follow-up with them. They came up to see their mom, brought the dog, and we went out to a beer park where you can actually have like a bar in the dog park. And we worked the dog there as a follow-up. That's what I want. That's what I enjoy doing. I love seeing clients excel and exceed. And then ultimately, the life that they have with their dogs is so much better.
Yeah, and you're training in the real world, too. You're training in an environment where they're going to want to go, but you're there with them to hold their hand in the beginning. I love that. Awesome. And then how do folks get started with you? What should they do? What's that process look like? Do you have like a free consultation?
So I will say this. A few years ago, obviously the world changed. My process and my system has also changed with it, but I almost think it's for the better on both sides. So my side as well as the client side. So if people want to reach out to me, my website's just focusdogtraining.com. And ultimately, we have a free form on there that they can fill out, and it will give them some extra information. With the new system that we have, a lot of my system is automated, so it will help them get a message out quickly. So that way, one, we respond fast. Now, I do offer a free in-home consultation, but the caveat to it is, once somebody contacts me, we kind of go through what their issues are and what their goals are. That's my first and foremost, to kind of find the program that's going to best fit their needs. Once we do that, we give them specific information based on those programs. And then if they're really just still unsure or not quite 100% on which one's going to work best for them, we set up that consultation. I go out and actually see them, meet the dog, and then I can give them a recommendation off of, what I see currently in the home.
Awesome. And, I like that you mentioned that you've evolved, you've changed your processes, as the world changed with COVID and things like that. That's very entrepreneurial to, adjust things to suit the way the world is, to suit your clients. And it sounds like you offer a couple different options. So they reach out to you through the website, focusdogtraining.com, you said?
Correct.
Okay. And then you can start with maybe the phone, and if need be, you could even come out to the house?
Correct. Yeah, once you contact me, my system and myself will both send you some messages. So text and email. And then ultimately from there, we kind of just start a conversation, figuring out what you need. And then we dive into the deeper issues that you're having. And then If we feel like the conversation needs to be in person, we go to the in-home consultation. And most of my clients, truthfully, never make it to that point.
I
We
love
give them the information from the programs, and they're like, nope, this is exactly what I want. This is what I was looking for. It fits the needs for what we have. They sign up right there, and then we just start picking dates for training.
And I think you may have just answered my next question inadvertently, which was, what advice would you give to someone who's considering enrolling their dog in training, but maybe hesitant or unsure and just doesn't know how it all works? And it just sounds like I would be very comfortable signing my dog up with you, and you care. That you've kind of already answered, but if you wanted to add to anyone that might be hesitant considering enrolling in dog training, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, this is an easy but a big one. The big part about it is the first piece of advice when you're looking for a trainer, go out and look at reviews. Reviews, reviews, reviews. The dog training world is an unregulated one, meaning anybody can put up that says, hey, I train dogs. I have a website. Here you go. I'm a dog trainer. That does not mean they have the education. It does not mean they have the background or the skill set needed for any particular one dog. So biggest thing is I tell people all the time, look at the reviews, see what happens, see what they say. Then once you contact a trainer, see how they respond. For me, again, the biggest thing is the customer service point. I try to get in touch with my clients within 10 to 15 minutes tops of them actually contacting me. The great news is my system will contact them to help them, but I also personally reach out to make sure that, hey, I got your email, I got your message. What are you looking for? What's going on? That's the service I want to provide, and that's the level of service I want to provide. But when you're looking, look for a reputable trainer. The second thing is, what methods are they using? Are you comfortable with those methods? If not, maybe we need to do some education. Maybe we are on the wrong side. So some are very adversive, some are very positive only. It all depends on what you're looking for, but also being open to other ideas that will best help your dog. Biggest and best part that I tell people all the time, your dog lives in my home. And you send me, like you're sending your dog to me to help train, it lives in my home. It does not live in a facility. It's not left there overnight. It's not unsupervised. Your dog is in my house. So at any given time, your dog feels like they're at home. So it takes some of the anxiety, the stress away. Typically, when most of the people do drop-offs for their board and trains, they're also coming to my house. So they get to actually see where their dog is staying. Gives them a peace of mind that says, okay, I know where my dog is going to be. House is nice, these kind of things. So it helps them just be at ease. But that's the big things that I look for when telling somebody why choose a trainer. 1, customer service. 2, education. 3, making sure their safety and the dog feels at home as much as possible.
Fantastic. And checking those reviews is a really, really good tip. I know that's how I find restaurants and all sorts of things. So very good advice. And you've touched a little bit now on one of your types of programs. Maybe you could share a little bit more about that board and train aspect, that type of program and what that looks like. Because I know that there's folks out there that are like, I've never even heard of board and train. That sounds perfect. But let's hear a little bit more about maybe that and some of your other programs.
Yeah, so I offer 2 different real styles. It's what helps the majority of my clients and what allows me to continue doing what I'm doing at the level that we're doing it. I offer in-home lessons, which not a lot of people here in the Madison area actually offer. I come out to the house. It's a set series of lessons based on what your needs and what your goals are. But ultimately, I come out to you and I'm training you how to train your dog. So there, the whole family can get involved and everybody's on the same page and moving the dog forward. My goal is to be able to have that dog at the end of the program to be able to go out in public, do the things you want to do. You want to go to a soccer game? Great. Take the dog if it's an opportunity to take the dog. I want them to have that confidence in to be able to do that. My other side is board and train. Board and train, I call it boot camp. The reason I call it boot camp is extremely point on point to say, basically, your dog is coming into an area that it doesn't understand, doesn't know where it's at, where it's going. And my job is to let that dog decompress for a little bit, but then start building a relationship with it. Just like it would be anywhere else, I'm going to build that relationship, build their trust in me. And then once we're kind of there, we really start the process. Your dog's going to work morning, noon, evening, nights. It's going to be in suburbia. I live in suburbia, so ultimately there's every distraction that you could possibly be. That's my whole goal, is I can train the dog where the dog would normally be. My backyard, I have a bike path directly behind it. Ultimately, that's great. A lot of dogs like to bark at other things walking behind the fence when they see it at home. Great, we get to fix that while they're here. It's a extreme hands-on approach, but it teaches the dog new skills. That's my goal. I tell everybody, just because you send your dog to a board and train program, and I don't care how long that program is, your dog is not trained. Your dog is in training. So after the program is done, and I have 4 different sizes for people to choose from based, again, on goals and what they want. But ultimately, while their dog is with us, we're working on as many skills as possible to help that dog succeed in the everyday world. Biggest thing, again, is customer service, updating our clients. We update about every other day with pictures, videos. I have my system actually send out things while their dog is with us, so that way when the dog comes home, mom and dad already have a jump start on understanding what they need to be changing, what they need to be doing, when they should be doing commands, how they should be doing commands. So they're not just left with, hey, here's your dog. Hope you have a good life. They're set up for success. And then with the follow-ups that we do after camp, that helps them immensely just get their dog into the greatest possible spot that they can.
Awesome. So the private lessons sound like a fit for somebody that wants to maybe take more of an active role in the training, because they're going to have more homework maybe to do. But that boot camp's very attractive because a professional is laying down that foundation with the dog. But then you also get that great phase 2 where you're working with the client to transfer that training to the client.
Correct.
And what advice could you give to someone who's thinking, I want to send my dog to Jayson for the boot camp? How can I prepare my dog so that it's an easy, comfortable transition to you, so it makes it a little easier for you, more comfortable for the dog for those first few days when you're building that relationship?
The most part that I tell people when they're like, well, I don't know what to expect, what can I do to help? The hardest part I tell people, I'm like, don't do anything. Literally, don't do anything. Don't do anything different than you're doing right now. And the reason being is if you're changing for, let's just say, I typically book out about 6 to 7 weeks out. And if they're changing their lifestyle or doing something different with the dog for that next 6 or so weeks before they come to us, something's going to be different. There's going to be different changes in the dog because they're seeing different pictures, those kind of things. I want them to be as normal as possible. I do have some clients that we do get some, I'll say, bite cases. I've got a dog coming in about 12 days that has bit a few people, and he's a bigger dog. The one thing I told them to work on is muzzle training. So that way, again, when the dog comes to me, at least we can have safety for the first 24 hours that, hey, the dog comes in, it's unmuzzled. If it tries, it's going to be anxious. It's a different environment. But once we take that dog away from mom and dad, typically that dog kind of goes, they're not here. Who are you? And then they typically just relax and let go. Decompression time that we give them, as well as just kind of sitting with dogs like that, taking them for a walk, walking around the backyard, just tends to ease that stress and that anxiety. But for the most part, I tell people, don't change anything. Don't do anything different. Just prepare the things that, we send out an email and a text saying, hey, prepare these things for your dog to come to camp. But I really tell them, don't change anything. Don't do anything. Because again, I want the dog to be as normal as possible when we see it, so that way we can fix some of the major issues that they're having.
Outstanding. You mentioned there's some homework tutorials that can help folks along that are included with your training.
Yeah, I send out a lot of videos. Some are just me talking, just like this today. Just me talking to them, basically setting them up for what they should be doing when the dog comes home. Training is a lifetime aspect for the dog and for the people. It's just the dog has learned some new skills. Now you're going to apply them in your everyday life. One of my core values is get brilliant with the basics. If you can get brilliant with the basics, I mean, a good sit, stay, down, stay, a nice place command for a lot of dogs with impulse issues, walking in a nice loose leash, you can do anything you want with your dog. And I try to tell my clients all the time that's all you have to ever do with your dog. If you get brilliant with the basics, you can do anything you want. Over my shoulder over here, you'll actually see one of my dogs. I tell every one of my clients, I'm like, they come out to a baseball game. He is a bat dog. So he goes out and fetches the bats when the guys get on base and stuff like that, the baseball games. He places in the dugout. So ultimately, he's just on a spot for anybody who doesn't know place. It's just get on an object and stay on it. He does that when he is off work, meaning that the other team is batting and he's not going to do anything for a while. It's just a send out. So all I'm doing is I'm sending him to go get a bat. And I've taught him bats are the absolute best thing in the world. So he loves them. He doesn't care because of the dog he is. He doesn't care about the crowd, doesn't care about the umpire in full gear and baseball players and stuff like that. He just wants the bat. So it's a fetch command and a recall. He's put all that together, but because we were brilliant with the basics in the beginning, he can do all that. There's no reason not one of my clients can't do things like that with their dogs. Whether it's going out on a boat in the middle of summer, whether it's going up to cabins, whatever it be, and having the dogs be off leash, but understanding boundaries, understanding that they can't bark at every little thing or chase every little animal they see. Those kind of things, if you can get really good with the basics, you can do in no time at all. It's just a consistency behind it and then holding your dog accountable to the expectations you have on them. And that's my job to my clients.
Outstanding. One of the things, as you spoke about your dog, I can tell you just are so proud and you just love that dog.
I had this opportunity. It was presented to me. And at the time, I had just lost my soulmate dog, the dog that would do everything for me anytime, anywhere. I call him my Everest. I put every trick in the book into that dog. I wanted to teach him everything in the world, and he was a great dog. At the time, I didn't have a dog, and when I got the call and said, "Hey, are you interested?" And I'm like, I need to go get a dog. So I went actually out, found a reputable breeder, got the dog that I wanted. Temperament-wise, I needed him to be good with animals. I needed him to be fantastic with people. So I got him at a 12-week-old puppy, started working with him, fetching things. So that way, again, he thought it was the greatest thing in the world. By 6 months, he was fetching bats. And at 16 months, he went out on his first game and got his first bat for real. And he's been on almost every news channel here locally. It just makes you proud. I love being able to say that he's my dog because I am very, just like a dad, I'm very proud of the accomplishments that he has and the things that he still gets to do. But even more so, I love watching him do it. He enjoys it so much that it's just amazing to sit back and watch and go, how did I get so lucky? He's that dog.
I can tell. Yeah. And I've definitely seen him on the news. He is a little celebrity, a local celebrity. That's amazing. Oh, yeah. So we've talked a little bit about your programs and about Maverick and, a lot of these great positives. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about some of the common problems your clients ask for help with their dogs, housebreaking, running away. You'd mentioned, some dogs come to you with a bit of a bite history. So maybe some of the nuisance behaviors that are maybe driving folks crazy with their dog and they need your help with.
Yeah, a lot of my clients come to me and under no fault of their own. They come to us because they're asking for help and I want to be there to help them. My job is to educate them on what they've been doing that supports or changes their dog's behaviors. But I get a lot of just the nuisance behaviors. If I open the door, the dog is going to run outside and take off. We start to teach them a boundary control where the dog actually won't do that. Oh, they pull on the leash. They're a horror to walk. They do this, they do that. But a lot of it's just like the nuisance, everyday life problems that you would normally see when you walk into someone's house. The dog runs over, it's barking, it's jumping on people. It's just being obnoxious, and people are embarrassed by it. And truthfully, there's no reason to be embarrassed. We can help you. We can fix that. And it's not as hard as you think. But the biggest thing, again, is I'm going to teach the dog what to do in those moments. But even more so, I'm going to teach the human what they should be doing in those moments and how to help their dog. And once they're consistent a little while, just like us, we're rebuilding new habits, the behavior changes. And then very quickly, they start to see the results, which just like anything else in life, weight loss, anything else that you're needing to work on, the quicker that you see even a small change or benefit, now you can apply that much more effort to it and start to get better and better. And again, the goal is just happy, healthy puppies.
And puppies, what age, if I got a new puppy, what age would you like to see my puppy? What age should I be reaching out to you?
So I tell people, if you've got a puppy, I don't care how old it is, if it's 8 weeks old, 12 weeks old, whatever, we have a puppy program that will actually come to you and work inside your house. Puppies are a little different because it's going to take a lot longer. It's like teaching infants. You're going to work on a couple little things as they're like 8 to 10 weeks old. You're going to work on a couple more obedience things, the bite inhibition, the jumping. Again, what people are teaching them to jump, but ultimately changing those aspects when they're young until they're adolescent and then adult. So my puppy program tends to run a couple lessons right away when you get the puppy, crate training, potty training, all those kind of fun things, how you should be feeding your dog, how you should be playing with your dog. This is a huge one, giving your dog rest. Puppies, people don't understand. Puppies typically need like 18 to 20 hours a day of sleep, just like an infant does. They're growing. The world is open to them. They get overstimulated. They need a rest, or there's issues. And then we hit a couple lessons when we're hitting adolescence to help with obedience training, your sits, your downs, those kind of goofy things. And then when we hit kind of like that adulthood area, we really hammer home what they're looking for out of their dog. So that way, again, we can just tweak along the way of what they're doing to develop the dog. That's a good word. Develop the dog that they really want to use, want to have.
And I love that you're starting in the home with a young puppy so that you can protect them from, distemper, parvovirus, and all the things that we're vaccinating for until they're completely safe to go out into the world, to your home for a boot camp, things like that.
Yeah, I don't even allow dogs to come into boot camp unless they're over 4 months old. That way, one, they've had most of their puppy shots. But same point, they're not going to learn as much in boot camp. I can only work with them 10, 15 minutes at a time, but they're not going to retain things very well in a short period of time where it's camp related. Your adult dog can definitely hammer those home. Hey, we can do 1,000 sits with you. We can do 1,000 downs with you. With a puppy, I can do 1,000 downs, but it's going to remember 4. And you go home and you go down. The dog's not going to go, okay, I know what that is. Right? It's going to take some work. So we always try to start with in-home as much as we can for puppies, because it's more about teaching, again, the owner what their behaviors are. I let my puppy sleep in bed and we're having this issue. And I'm like, maybe we need to crate train the puppy. Maybe we need to do this differently. Maybe we need to do that differently to better your results.
Great. Okay, my next question. In your opinion, what's some common misconceptions people have about dog training, and how do you address them?
People a lot of times think that it's hard on the dogs. That, sometimes, and I'm going to pick straight on one client that I love them to death. They're good friends and we travel a lot together. But unfortunately, love does not conquer all. Just because you love your dog to death does not mean they're going to want to listen and respect you. So for me, It's really teaching both sides of it. So I want there to be respect with the owner and the handler and the trainer. So ultimately what I'm looking for there is that, again, reviews are what they are when you're choosing a trainer. I am a balanced trainer. I tell everybody that I use tools. I use prong collars, I use e-collars, but I'm not harsh with them. I don't want harshness in the training. There's a couple locations here in the area that are pressure based, and you won't know it until you actually sign up and go through it. And that's the unfortunate part. Look at the reviews, find the person that best matches your values, and why are those. So for me, I tell people a lot that, hey, why choose us? Why choose this dog training over this one? It's because I use positive reinforcement with everything we do. I want your dog to be motivated to want to work with me, and ultimately not just, hey, I'm going to do it because you told me to. I want them to do it because they're working with me. We're a common goal. We're working together. We're a team. That's the biggest thing that I will ever tell anybody when choosing a dog trainer is, what are your values? What do you see? I get some people that just simply won't ever tap a button on an e-collar. And therefore, I won't push it on them. I won't say, hey, even if your dog needs it, we'll go around. It might take a little bit of extra time, some extra reps, some extra this, some extra that. But ultimately, we can go around those things. It's matching the training to the owners and the goals that they're looking for. If that makes sense.
Yes, and a big part of a lot of what I'm getting from you is back to that word you mentioned earlier, was relationship. You're building a relationship with the dog. So that, I think, makes a lot of us feel better when we think about different tools that maybe we're a little not sure about. It seems like the most important thing to you is to build a relationship before you even dive into a lot of the training.
It is, and it's both ways. It's with the owners as well as with the dogs. For me, if you start with training immediately, the dog's not going to respect you right away. So it's not going to trust you right away. It doesn't understand you. So just spend some time with the dog. Let it decompress. If it's coming in for like a board and train option, let it decompress. It's in a new environment, doesn't know where it's at, all these goofy things. But dogs adapt so fast. They don't hold the feelings that humans do. So they adapt really fast to what their surroundings are. And they go, all right, cool. I'm the only person that they're going to, engage with immediately. So ultimately what ends up happening is they go, cool. Well, what are you about? I'm about giving you love, treats, toys, pets, praise, going outside, having fun. And then very quickly the dog associates me with those things and goes, I like you. What is it you want from me? And then the more that we have that relationship and we build, now I can start incorporating doing the commands and the skills that are needed for them to, experience life in the best possible way. Again, teaching them skills that they can go to a soccer game and just do a downstay and just hang out on a blanket or a towel or anything else, or even the grass, and just sit calmly while all the commotion's going on around them. It all has to start with that relationship. And then repairing and fixing the relationship between the dog and the owners at home. So that way, again, they have the same expectations. They hold the dog accountable. And my job is just like a trainer, just for humans. I'm going to hold you accountable to what you need to be doing for your dog to reach your goals. That's my job, to keep pushing you to make sure that you're doing what's best for you and the dog. So ultimately, again, you have the best possible relationship with your dog, and you can go anywhere you want.
That makes good sense. And I think building the relationship and teaching the behaviors and then expecting and holding them accountable, both on the dog side and the human side, that sounds like a great step-by-step plan. Could you share a heartwarming success story or particular memorable transformation with one of your clients?
So I have a fantastic story, and it's one of my current clients. So they might not love me sharing it, but that's okay. I met them just this last year. I met them late December, and they had a 4-month-old cream lab puppy. Now, the reason they were reaching out is because they didn't know if they should keep the dog or rehome it or give it back to the breeder. The problems were that this dog was physically biting mom on a daily basis. And when I say biting, I mean putting punctures in mom's arms on a daily basis. Not a killer. I don't want to destroy you, but I'm frustrated and I'm setting boundaries. When I met them, we did in-home training. That's what they wanted. They wanted to learn, and they did need to learn. Things got better, but I could instantly sense what was happening. This is the person that mom thought love is going to conquer all. If I love the dog will respect me and love me. And I told him, I'm like, you have a very alpha dog who is correcting mom. And I told mom for her poor behavior. Mom wants to cuddle the dog, baby the dog, overlove the dog, no expectations. I want you just to love me and sit with me on the couch and I will play with you and all these fun things. But as we started to learn, they weren't letting the dog rest. The dog was just constantly out in the house with them all the time. Dog would get up on the couch. They didn't want it on the couch. Mom would actually scoop it up and put it on the floor. Well, when she'd scoop it up, the dog would get frustrated and bite her in the mouth or in the chin. So the success of this story and the horror story about that is we started instrumenting structure. By structure, what I really mean by this is I ended up telling mom and dad they were going to Key West at the end of January. They spend 4 months down there because Wisconsin gets a little chilly in January and February, the first part of March. They were going to spend 4 months down at Key West at their home, and they wanted the dog to come down and hopefully be enjoyable versus do I get rid of this dog because it's biting? So I finally talked them into letting me have the dog for a board and train, and I ended up having it for just under 3 weeks. And the great news about this is this dog is remarkable. She loves to learn. She loves structure. She thrives on it. She is one of the most amazing dogs that I will say that I would steal her in a heartbeat. And I don't say that about very many dogs. Fast forward, I'm in their will. If something by happens to chance, they happen to pass, the dog does come to me. And the dog absolutely loves me and we love it. Now, the success story of this dog is I knew at the end of 18 days this dog was going down to Key West. I needed to prepare it for as much as I possibly could. Now, with the distance in between, mom's going to struggle with this dog. I know she's going to struggle. We had to use a tool to help mom get over what this was occurring. And it's just one occurrence that mom goes down and tries to play with the dog, and then mom leaves, and the dog gets angry and goes after mom and will bite her arms. So we used and implemented a tool, an e-collar for her. And ultimately, as long as the dog's even wearing the e-collar, it doesn't even have to be used. The dog does not do this behavior. Mom does it long enough. Guess what? Behavior is extinct and no longer happens. The greatest news about this and the biggest success of this story is that I finally got a hold of them to go, what are their goals? And talking to them, mom was going to fly back from Key West to Wisconsin, drive the dog down to Key West in 3 days. And I asked them, like, well, why don't you just fly her back? And they're like, well, she's a 5-month-old puppy and she can't be, they won't put her in cargo on a plane, which I am 100% agreeing with. And I talked to them and I'm like, well, you do realize if she flies with me, she can fly in main cabin. Done. So with about 10 days left to go in camp, I had to prepare this dog to actually walk through an airport, get on an airplane, go through another airport, get on another plane, and fly her into Key West. And at 5 months old, you would not have known that this dog was not a service dog. Her behavior was impeccable. She laid at our feet, and mom went with me, but she laid at our feet. I spent a few days down there in Key West with her just to show mom and dad what to be doing and how to do it. And then I got to see them this last week when we did a parade together. And I mean, they're doing awesome. The success of that story really lies again on River was a fantastic dog. It's just, and I told mom and dad, it's not the right dog for them. She's an alpha dog. She wants to do things. Mom wants the dog that I can just love and just cherish. I'm like, they won't give her back. which is great. This dog is going to have an amazing life, but I had to mirror what they want to what the dog can do. So changing their minds, changing what they're doing was the only way I was going to have success with this dog. And she's about to go on a month-long trip out west. She'll be back down to Key West and Disney by the end of the fall. So she's going to be traveling all over the world and stuff like that. And I'm like, just make it the best you can.
That's a wonderful story. And I just can't believe how much personalized time you spend with your clients and with their dogs. And you have a real love for them and their dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I want to do. And I absolutely have zero problems traveling. It gets me out of here for a few days. I'm always up for that. Same way in Arizona. I had trained their family dogs here in Wisconsin. They moved out to Arizona. They adopted a new dog, and he couldn't find a trainer that he liked. So I actually flew out to Arizona, spent a week with them at their house, and we did the training right then and there. And it was kind of both board and train, kind of, and private lessons, because I was living with them for the week. And ultimately, we got the dog where it needed to be and the parents where they needed to be. But I want to spend that time with the owners to really make sure that they understand what's needed for their dog and the success of their dog.
Outstanding. That's all the questions I have on my list. Those are some amazing stories. I got a lot of great information. Maybe you could just reiterate again how folks can find you and connect with you.
Yeah, so main website is going to be the easiest and fastest way to reach out to us, which is just focuseddogtraining.com. I have a Facebook page, Instagram. I'd like to say I'm a little bit more on there a little bit more often, but you can still reach me through any platform. I don't care how you reach out to me. I can help you with regardless of what's going on. And I will instantly tell you as honestly as I can right up front if I'm going to be the best fit or if it's not going to be the fit. And as we go through this, I'm 100% on board with telling anybody, even problems, that this is going to be an issue. So that way, again, they understand exactly what they're getting into before they actually hire us. So, again, you and I are on the same page. We have the same expectations. We have the same aspect of outcomes of what we're going to be doing and knowing that the work is going to be put in there behind. So focuseddogtraining.com is the easiest way. Reach out on any of our socials as well, just Facebook or Instagram.
Terrific. That is outstanding information. And it really does, that last, information you gave us, it sounds like you're ready to have those harder conversations that sometimes maybe people kind of need or are ready to have because their dog's driving them crazy or, there's some difficult stuff going on, and you're able to get in there and be very honest with them about what their expectations should be or should not be.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest things. I have a client that they had 3 Great Danes, and they brought, I'll say, the middle child in, and in the end, they met with a couple other trainers. They didn't like what they said. And ultimately, they had me come out, do a consultation for him. And I saw the dog, and I told him, there's nothing wrong with your dog. Your dog's just a jerk. She's an alpha. She's just a jerk. Might not have been the language I used, but a little more colorful. But ultimately, I said, your dog's just a jerk. We can fix that. And they hired us. We came back out, and I asked them at the first lesson, I'm like, so I'm going to ask you a question. Why'd you hire us? And he's like, because you're the only one that told us our dog was a jerk. And he goes, that's exactly what we've been seeing. I don't mind those conversations. I want those conversations. I want it to be as real as possible because, again, the owner and the handlers, they're the ones behind the dog's behavior. And if I don't change that, the dog is only going to go so far. And I need to change things. If people, have come to me and they're like, oh, I really don't want my dogs to be kenneled. Okay, that's not a problem. But he's chewing up the walls. He's chewing up the carpet. He's doing this. He's doing that. Okay, you have 2 options. 1, you never leave your dog alone. Or 2, you put the dog in a crate. Pretty quickly, a lot of times they'll go, okay, fine. And their dog is perfectly fine. And then they're like, I can't believe that was that easy. And I'm like, yeah, it might take a few days to change for the dog, but I'm like, ultimately it helps your dog stay safe. If your dog's eating the carpet and eating the walls, it's only going to get sick. I don't care about walls. I don't care about your floor. You can replace those things. But if your dog ingests something that they're not supposed to, get sick, the dog's going to have some major issues. And that's what I want to prevent. So again, just changing people's minds on how they're seeing their dogs, how they're living with their dogs, and having the best life you can with your dog.
Awesome. So if you want to have the best life you can with your dog, go to focusdogtraining.com and talk to Jayson.
Thanks for tuning in to our Pet Biz podcast. We hope you've enjoyed learning about the incredible accomplishments of our featured dog training business today. Stay tuned for more insightful conversations and inspiring stories. Until our next podcast, bye for now.